If the United States wishes to protect the Sunni Arab states from Iranian hegemony, what price should the United States extract from them? I think you're first. No, you're first. Okay, Joe.
I believe that it is in the interest of the United States, regardless, to protect the Sunni Arab states, particularly the smaller ones in the Gulf, from Iranian hegemony. Iranian hegemony is the target. I do think, however, that on other issues we need to be absolutely clear that acceptance of Israel and full diplomatic relations are the condition for any agreeable or favorable treatment from the United States, whether it's in terms of trade, whether it's in terms of weapon system, which we ought not to be selling even to our Arab allies if they won't accept Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state, or whether it's in terms of sales of ports or subcontracts to state-owned companies or anything like that. Iranian hegemony is an interest that we have regardless of who else it benefits or who else it harms. The United States cannot allow that to happen in any circumstance. But we must not allow the Arab world to continue doing what it's doing, not just refusing to accept Israel's right to exist, but actively assisting terror groups and anti-Semitic groups that target Israel. There are charitable groups in the United States that continue to donate to groups overseas that attack Israel, that undermine Israel's legitimacy. And the United States needs to look at how its charitable money is being spent in the Arab world and Islamic world and defund those institutions and prosecute those charities and prevent public money from going towards them. You know, I think that there's another thing we also need to look at very carefully, and it's what we spend our money on when we try to build relations with the Muslim world. We have a very strict separation of church and state in this country. It's one I respect and one I will uphold. But the United States State Department has spent money actively building mosques in several Islamic countries as a gesture of friendship towards these countries. Now, first of all, that ought not to be necessary. We don't have to show, in a sense, that we can be more Islamic than the Islamic world in order to earn their respect. But secondly, it's a fundamental violation of the separation of church and state that we observe so scrupulously in every other aspect of our public life. So I believe that we ought to examine our relations fully with the Arab states and Islamic states and make sure that we apply the same standards there that we do to our allies and our domestic policy.
Well, the Iraq War certainly empowered the Shiites and the country of Iran. The United States got rid of one of its greatest enemy by overthrowing the power in Iraq. And certainly not defending Saddam Hussein, but once he was gone, then Iran was able to extend its influence. And so for that and many, many reasons, I think that the Iraq War was certainly a serious mistake and has exacerbated the problems because it has been able to elevate Iran. And now Iran has been the major source of terror by funding these terrorist organizations. I believe that, in fact, when the president went to Cairo, and I do think he should go to Israel, no question about it, but when he went to Cairo and made it very clear to the Arab world right there in Cairo how his support for the Jewish state of Israel, that it was unbreakable, the first president ever to stand up in front of the Arab world and say that is something that actually has been applauded by the state of Israel and its leaders as something that has been helpful to creating those kinds of relationships that help to downplay the kinds of tensions that we want to ameliorate around the world. So, and this notion that somehow when the president goes to another country that he did a ceremonial bow, give me a break. This was not a, this is not an international incident, and it is not a sign of weakness. And I think that the president, his ability to reach out to the Muslim world and the Arab world and still be an ally of Israel is the greatest thing that we have going.